Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, we have Yinka Yusuf
Name people.
and Aki Adike. Hello. Yinka,
Yes, sir.
you did something I never thought you would ever do, and you need to explain yourself.
Maybe you need to tell people first what did I do, so before I
I
explain what
don't
I did.
I don't I don't even want to say this with my mouth. You're making me do this. So first we're recording on a Monday again. This time is
Yes, we
my
are.
fault. The offspring had a tournament over the weekend, so I was driving all over. But today is Monday evening, the 18th
Yep.
of November.
November.
Yinka, you're wearing a jersey from the noisy neighbors in North London. Why are you doing this? One is ugly. Two, why? Just why?
Because I can. How about that?
Ugh.
So okay. So like our listeners should know by now, I have a box full of jerseys. So this is what I wear in my spare time. I wear all sorts, right? So I have United jerseys, City jerseys, Liverpool,
Those are real
Arsenal.
clubs. Those are real
I
clubs.
have Remo Stars. I have Enyimba. I have Kwara
Real
United.
clubs. Real
Yeah.
clubs.
So one of our friends was like, "You that you say you like jerseys, how come you never wear a Spurs jersey?" I'm like, "If it's fine,
Because
I'll wear
you.
it." I said, "If it's fine, I'll wear it now." And it was like, and then wear one. I said, "Have you bought one for me that I did not wear? Because I'm not gonna use my money to buy a Spurs jersey. I'm not gonna do that." And funny enough, he just called me over during the week and was like, "Dude, I have your sports jersey." I'm like, "Did I ask you to buy one?" And I was like, "No, but you said, right? You kind of insinuated that if I bought one for you, that you will wear it." And I was like, "Okay, let me see the jersey." And actually, he bought the nicer one, right? I think this green one is not bad. I actually kind of like it. Yeah. So I'm just rocking it today. Just as a big
Oh,
thank you to my friend who deemed it fit to buy me a jersey. So please, next time you buy one, buy me an Arsenal one or one that is better. Don't buy me a Spurs jersey. But just to prove the point that I don't discriminate. If the jersey is fine, I'll wear it.
you should discriminate.
If the jersey is fine,
So,
I'll wear it.
Yinka, you know
Yes,
I
sir.
get all my wisdom from
Mm-hmm.
comedians. You already know
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, even Bill Maher. Chris
Yeah.
Rock said something once. It was like, you could use your feet to steer your car, right? You could.
But you shouldn't.
Doesn't mean you should. You literally can do whatever the hell you want. Doesn't mean you should. Or I can go to scripture for this. This is what the Apostle Paul said, right? The Apostle Paul said, Yinka, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Okay? Which is Apostle Paul's way of saying you can do WTF what you want,
But you shouldn't.
but doesn't mean you should. I'm just gonna leave it out there. Some wisdom from the Middle Ages or whatever, and contemporary
And contemporary
intellectuals.
comedians. Yeah. but it's all good, right? I'm sure this will end up at the base of my box in the nearest future.
Oh my
And
God, this
but I
is
need to appreciate my dear friend for
no. You
you
need to
know
punch him in the face. That's what you need to do. You need to punch him in the face for not having good taste.
let me appreciate my he's not a sports fan, by the way,
I
just
know,
so
I
we
know, I know,
he's not a sports fan. He's a
I know.
Barcelona
He's a
fan.
Barcelona fan.
Uh-huh. He's a
And he
Barcelona
loves to
fan.
troll Arsenal. He lies that he likes Arsenal, but he doesn't. He likes Man City because of
They
Pep.
don't. All of them don't. We know. We
Yeah.
know already. But it's all good.
Okay.
I'm just being a good sport. Just being a good sport.
Okay. Good. I am not a good sport. I would do what's that? What's that line? I would do anything for love, but I wouldn't do that. So I would do anything for this podcast and for you, Yinka, but I will not do that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so Yinka, we promised
Yes,
last
sir.
week that we would try to do a modified version of our podcast this week, right? So we are in the middle of what I continue to believe is an unnecessary um, international break. This is like the third one in a very short season already. I don't
Yeah.
understand why we do this.
FIFA need to
So I have
they need to remain relevant.
but I have not watched any games. I'm proud to say it. I've seen one highlight, and that was the highlight of the goal by Ronaldo against Poland. That's the only thing I've seen. I'm proud to say that. I don't. You just told me that Nigeria lost. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I think England won, and everyone is now saying Lee Carsley is the greatest coach ever. But it is what it is. So we put an agenda together, Yinka, that does not
Yeah.
really talk about the games at all, right?
None.
So all our topics are still sports related, but they're not really about games. So hopefully we can do it justice. And we have a lot to talk about. So you want to just get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's go.
Okay. So number one, let's start with the WNBA. Last night there was the draft lottery, and we have a rooting interest because you're an LA fan, Lakers and Sparks, and you just told me again. I didn't watch it, but you just told me that they got the number 2 pick,
Yep.
and the consensus is that Paige Beckers will go number 1 from UConn.
Dallas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from UConn. Caitlin Clark's frenemy, contemporary, grew up in Iowa, came up together, lost a year to ACL tear.
Injury. Yeah.
So which is why she's coming in after Caitlin. But the consensus is this year, number 2 will be Kiki, who is not only is she Nigerian, but we actually went to school with her mom and her aunts. And so we don't know her personally, but we know her family, obviously. And we're fans from a distance. Neither of us has seen her play live. So how excited are you at the possibility of getting Kiki to the Los Angeles Sparks?
I am super, super excited. So last year when she was at Stanford, Cameron Brink kind of, I don't want to say overshadow, but she shared the spotlight with Cam Brink. And Cam Brink was second pick last year. She also went to Sparks. So she then transferred to USC, and now she's sharing the spotlight again with Juju, right?
Yeah.
Juju's she didn't declare this year. I think she's coming
Juju
on board next year.
Juju is a sophomore.
So
this is only a second year. Yeah.
She probably has multiple years to, to still play in college. But going to the draft lottery itself, Dallas first, Sparks second, Sky got third pick again, and the Mystic got fourth, and the rest I don't care about the rest. Yeah. But going back to Kiki, I was telling you earlier on that I saw the highlights of her recent game with USC, and she looked taller, than she was last year. So she's probably 6'3", 6'4" ish now, which is edging towards the center range in the W. Yeah. And if that is the case, if she gets to Sparks, that will be Rikia Jackson, Cam Brink, and Kiki Riafen as our front court with the Sparks. That is some impressive talent that can take care of your club for the next 5-10 years. Yeah, for the next 5-10 years. So I'm quite impressed. Our mid-range game is as good as ever.
Amazing.
Our post-up game is getting better. If she can just stretch a bit to the 3-point line and start knocking down threes, she's going to be a problem. She's very good with rebounding, offensive and defensive. Yeah. So I just look at Rikia Jackson with the height, Cam Brink with the height, Kiki with the height, across the front court for the Sparks next season. I'm excited. I can't help. I'm very, very excited.
So you should be excited. So one, like I said, I've never met Kiki, right? but I've been following her career since I saw her mom post about her. I think when she was a sophomore in high school. So I was like, I'll look up articles. I
Highlights.
saw videos
Yeah.
of her and everything. So I'm like, wow, this girl is something, right? And then I started watching her at Stanford. So number one, to have the intellectual and academic prowess to get into Stanford is really impressive, right? And then she did something extremely difficult, right? So, Yinka, let me tell you this quick story. So, when she announced she was going into the transfer portal, right? After the NCAA tournament, my friend, remember Mr. X?
Yeah.
My friend was like, I don't know if I would leave that, Stanford degree on the table and go to another school. Because, I mean, for a lot of people, the consensus is Stanford is the best university in the US, which is saying something because the US is filled with extremely good universities.
Absolutely.
We have some issues with our K through 12 education, but our universities continue to be really good. It's the secondary education that could be mid sometimes, right? But the universities are still really good, and Stanford has everything. You can be a crazy scientist, you can be a Silicon Valley person, you can be Tiger Woods. He went to Stanford. So they're good in everything. They're pretty much top 10 in every major thing: law, medicine, everything, right? Sports. So what I told my friend was, look, again, I didn't speak to anyone personally about this. I follow from a distance. I'm a fan from a distance. But knowing us as Nigerians and the values we raise our kids with, my prediction at the time, even though it wasn't in the news yet, was I'm pretty sure she's graduating early before transferring. And my friend was like, that would be crazy. Like, to graduate in 3 years from Stanford and be an elite Division I athlete. So I'm like, look, no one told me this. That's just my guess. And then I read the story at graduation. She did graduate early in 3 years with a degree in engineering, Yinka. So that's, in my opinion, doubly hard. We both studied engineering. And I tell my daughter all the time, I was in the lab for 4 years straight. That's really what engineering was like for me. I was in the lab for 4 years straight. Like, I would literally be trying to go to a party, and then I'll remember my grades and I'll haul my behind back to the lab. You know what I mean? Like, so I couldn't imagine flying all over the country while trying to, finish homework and, making my labs work. And so she finished engineering at Stanford in 3 years.
Wow.
Got her degree, graduated, and is now moved over to USC. I'm guessing, as a graduate student or whatever. So I'm just like, I'm just incredibly impressed. Like, I'm so happy for the family, because these are people we grew up with. I'm so happy for them. I'm so, everything we've read, obviously we don't know her personally, but everything we've read is just about how much of a quality young woman she is. So I can't wait to watch her at the next level. I'm just so impressed by all this. So that's my first thing. My second is, we kind of glossed over the Dallas what's their name? Dallas what?
Wings.
Sorry, Stars would be NHL. So I confuse all these names. We kind of glossed over, but Yinka, who plays for Dallas that we have a rooting interest in? Arike Ogunbowale plays for Dallas. You're telling me they could potentially combine Arike with Paige Beckers?
Absolutely.
Yinka, we might lose our mind. We might lose our mind next season. Because Arike is the microwave. She's the microwave. I mean, she'll drop 27 like this.
Yeah.
And Paige can do everything. Paige has more talent than CC. She has more talent. She's
the only question mark with Paige is the injuries. That's it.
It's the injury. She did her ACL. She was out for over a year. It was for her. It was actually more than a year.
Yeah.
Paige is ridiculous. If she can walk, just walk her way back to fitness. And Arika is the microwave. She's not a great playmaker. That's not really her thing. But she might be the best pure scorer in the league.
Yeah.
Is she?
She is. I think she is.
She is, yeah.
This is just a Luka Kyrie kind of combo.
Yes. Ooh,
on the male side.
Might be. That's a tough one. Okay, I see where you're going with it. It's not perfect.
What I'm trying to say. It's not perfect. But, you have a Kyrie that can go hot, which is Arike. Arike can just, and you have a Page that can do everything except maybe defend, which is Luka.
But she does defend. She defends better than CC. She defends better than CC. She's a better player than Caitlin Clark. When they were coming out of high school, she was number 1. I don't know what. I think Caitlin Clark was number 4. They were both really good. They're both from Iowa, but she was the one she was the one who went to UConn. Caitlin Clark stayed home, University of Iowa.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that I love the Sparks thing for you, but I love the Dallas thing for all of us. This is gonna be amazing. Yeah,
it's gonna be amazing. Anyway, so good luck to Kiki. We'll be following her for the rest of the season. And hopefully they come home. The USC can win the championship this year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Good.
Yinka,
yes,
something happened. Something happened in the world of boxing on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
I will call it a disgrace. I don't know how you feel about it. So Netflix actually put this spectacle on display.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. A creature named, what's his first name? I don't know. Is he Jake?
Jake
Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Who apparently is a former YouTuber, former drug addict. Can you be a former drug addict? Are you always? How does that work? How does drug addiction work? Are you always an addict? Are you always recovering?
Let's keep it at former YouTuber. Yeah.
Okay, former YouTuber who found boxing, and boxing saved him from his demons. Fought 58-year-old Mike Tyson. This guy's 27.
Yes.
2-minute rounds, 8 rounds,
and
it was tough to watch. I think boxing died on Saturday, Inka. What do you think?
Okay, so boxing died. Pump the brakes. That might not necessarily be the case. But I get what you're saying. But whoever thought it was a good idea to put a 27-year-old in the same ring with a 58-year-old needs to be flogged. They need to be flogged. So I'll take it from both sides. I'll take it from Mike Tyson's perspective. I don't have any problem with Mike Tyson, right? It's $20 million, right? My legacy is already what it is. It's established. Me losing to a Jake Paul or Logan Paul or Chris Paul ain't nothing. I got
Paul,
20
Paul Wall, any of the Pauls.
Any of the Pauls. I got $20 million. Akin. So even if all the allegations that people are putting at his feet to say that it was staged, can you imagine? You can't compare the Tyson that was training, that was hopping, uppercuts. Someone even said in the contracts that the part of the contract was he can't throw uppercuts, right? And I'm like, see, guys, I don't care. Mike got $20 million. That's all I care about. No. So, see, think about this. If they had told you a year ago that Mike was going to get $20 million for a boxing bout, or 2 years ago, before they did this announcement, would you have believed that? Would you have even thought of the possibility of that happening? So I'm happy for Mike. And he said he was ill. He almost died. He lost blah, 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 blah. That he almost canceled the fight. But that's what he's telling people. And frankly, I don't care. Even if he was healthy, yeah? He got $20 million. So I'm happy for Mike. Now for the young man called Paul, Jake Paul, he got $40 million. So the cost was $60 million. So for him, right, I don't know to what end. What are you trying to achieve? what is the purpose of this? Is it just the money? Because right now, whatever what credibility or whatever what do I want to call it? Whatever it is you have, people are looking at you and they're looking at you like a clown. You got $40 million for entering a bout with a 58-year-old, right? So I don't know what the future holds for this young man. Yeah, time will tell. Maybe he needs to get a serious opponent in the ring with him. He hasn't had one. I think he was always looking at retirees or old people that can't box. If you really want a boxing career, go battle someone that is a proper boxer, right? And maybe if he does that, he can then, redeem himself. Maybe he can, Aki. Maybe he can redeem himself. Yeah. But I don't care about Jake Paul. That's his headache. Now going to Netflix. If I'm Netflix, I'm pissed. Because this is my rodeo into live sports streaming. And this is what y'all gave me. This is the product y'all put to the world on my behalf. They had the game at the AT&T Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Cowboys.
The stadium was jam packed. They brought Kate Abdul, now Kate Scott. She was the one on comms, right? They brought what's this Dallas Cowboys owner? What's his name?
Jerry Jones.
They brought Jerry on board. They brought Michael Irvin on board. Cedric the Entertainer was there. It was supposed to be. This is Netflix's intro into this kind of stuff. Yes, the numbers, people tuned in, but people were disappointed. Yeah,
the streaming quality was bad. There was a lot of buffering.
It was bad. It was very bad. Yeah. Netflix is like this. This is not a good intro into this realm for us. Yeah, so I feel bad for Netflix. But overall, Aki, I'm happy for Mike. $20 million in his pocket that he didn't expect. This bout is not going to affect his legacy, Aki. Jake Paul, I don't give one or two whatever about him. It doesn't matter in this case. Yeah. So that's my take on this.
Okay, I have a lot to say about this, but we don't have that much time. So let me be a little succinct in my take. So, one, I sat here after Joshua Dubois, and I gave a lot of credit to Saudi, to the UK promoters, right? To the Joshua camp, to the Fury camp, even to who's the American in that group that fought the tall guy. He fought. You know who I'm talking about. Oh man,
yeah,
we're so old. It's so bad.
Yeah,
I give them a lot of credit because we thought the heavyweight division was dead, especially after the Klitschko brothers, right? But they kind of revived the heavyweight division, right? And then this happens, right? So that's my first take on it. I'm disappointed. I'm gonna read something to you. This is an article from USA Today, Charles Curtis, and it was before the fight.
Yeah,
and it says the biggest question of them all. Oh no, actually no. Let me start from the beginning. So yeah, there's a fight on Friday night. Have you heard? It's between a 58-year-old who hasn't fought since 2005 and a former YouTube star who seems to fight in only battles he can be competitive in. It's Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul on Netflix. And then I'm going to jump down. The biggest question of them all, is this going to be a good fight? The answer will be absolutely not. How do I know? Because Tyson is pushing 60, because Paul is a showman, because nothing this hyped can be this good. Because what's really going to happen? A lot of hugging, a few punches thrown, and lots of hands held up to the face, a la Floyd Mayweather. And I'm like, I don't know who this man is, but he was spot on. That's absolutely what happened. I think Tyson actually won the first 2 rounds, shockingly so, and then his legs just went, which makes sense. He's 58. I feel like a regular because Jake Paul is a regular dude. He's not a boxer. He's a guy who took some lessons and has the physique. And Tyson couldn't handle him. But Tyson actually showed more defense than people thought he might show, which just tells you he's the professional. The other guy's a clown. Why are you in a ring with a clown? But then this is the same Tyson that had a one-man show in Vegas, right? Then he do something with Tigers. It's always done. For me, this is just another spectacle thing it did. It just so happens to intersect with his career. But he could have made his 20 million doing other stuff that won't potentially kill him. This could have killed him, Yinka. It could have really hurt him if the other guy knew what he was doing. You know what I mean?
No, but I think that is part of the spectacle, right?
Oh,
this
God.
is a scam. They scammed all of us. They got a purse of $60 million, right? For people to watch, Tyson is going to fight, blah, 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 blah. It's a scam. They got the money they wanted. You think there was really going to be a fight, right? Go watch the clips again, right? There were instances where Tyson was like forgetful that, I'm in a brawl, and he would not be like, okay, let me chill. Same thing with Jake Paul. He really could have hurt Tyson. You really think he couldn't have? Everybody held their punches. No pun intended. But that's what happened. Yeah. They didn't give it a go. So they scammed all of us for $60 million. That's why I said I'm happy for Mike. It's $20 million, cool $1 million earned. And nothing. We just file it under the crazy stuff that Mike Tyson has done. And we will just forget about it. But for Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whatever Paul he is, right? Time will tell if he wants to redeem his fledgling boxing career, because he's actually had 11 fights or so. Yeah,
I think this is number.
I think this is number 12 or number 11.
12.
I'm not
this
sure.
Is number 12. Yeah, this is 12.
And he says he wants to continue in this light. The man is rich. He doesn't really need the money, right? So if he wants to prove himself as a boxer, you need to start fighting credible people. Not retirees, not people. See, he says he wants to be a boxer. It's not a charity boxing game. You're making it sound as if it's an official boxing battle. If it's charity, we know it's charity. We know you're just in it for fun, right? But if you want to be serious, then you have to fight serious people. So that's my take. What I'm more worried about, which was what you talked about, is the female side of stuff. So you want to quickly talk about that?
Yeah. So there were two co-headliners, right? So Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano.
Yes.
They had fought at Madison Square Garden in 2022, and then this was a rematch. Taylor is Irish. Serrano is from Puerto Rico. Right. In my opinion, I'll get to the larger point, but let's talk about the actual fight. Taylor headbutted Serrano, deep gash over a right eye, I think. Got a point deducted, right, from the referee. And I thought, even without the point, I thought Serrano was winning anyway, right? And then we go to the cards after the fight, and it's unanimous for Taylor. And I'm like, how is this possible? Even with the 1 point deduction, when both Netflix, the unofficial judges, and pretty much everyone I know that watched thought Serrano watched, but they gave it to the incumbents. That's one, the potential corruption in the game. But my big thing is, should pro women's boxing be a thing? And I'm about to get a little controversial, and I know how much you love controversy. You don't. But Yinka, it was like they were using each other's heads for target practice. You know why? Because as women, they can't punch on the torso for obvious reasons. So think about when you're watching men fight. Think about how many punches go on the torso. And for these women, all of that goes on the head. So I'm like, this is CTE waiting to happen. How is this legal? Every punch went to the head, Yinka. Every punch. A friend of mine was like, oh yeah, but they don't pack a lot of punch because there's like a lot of power in their punch. I'm like, it's the frequency of the punch. It's not the severity of each one. It's the frequency of it. So to bring it to like youth sports, for example, girls football, like soccer in this country, has way more concussions than boys. So I think there's something about girls being more prone to concussions anyway. Way more. It's at the level of like men's or boys' American football, which doesn't make sense. So you have girls playing football / soccer getting concussions at the rate of boys playing American football. So there's already that you're prone to it. And then one last thing, Inka, because of the controversy at the last Olympics with, the testosterone, no testosterone with the Algerian, that was because I don't want to watch women box. That's just me. Call me a Neanderthal or whatever. But I'm like, why are these amateur boxers no longer wearing helmets? Men and women. Why are we doing this? These are people, 90% of them would never make a dime from boxing.
Yep.
And you won't protect their brains? What say you?
So, I 1000% agree with everything that you said. And I queue behind you completely. Female boxing is not even aesthetically pleasing to start with. Yeah. Because see, once again, guys, I apologize. I know it's these people's livelihood and stuff, right? It hasn't been, because I don't know, the control, and I don't want to say the emotion, but the control is not there at times. It just turns into like, a street fight.
It's a brawl.
If you get what I mean.
Like a brawl.
It's a brawl.
Yeah, a brawl. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not, there's no tactics anymore. There's no defensive. It's just who can hit who first. I'm sure if that hair were to be showing, they will be pulling each other's hair. If you get what I mean, right? But at least it was more competitive than the Jake Paul Tyson.
Oh yeah, no, it was a real fight. It was a real fight.
It was a real fight.
Yeah.
It was just that for pure pugilists watching it, it was like, come on, guys, And I get that, but the only thing I'm happy for them also, at least we say in Yoruba land, "Ta ba joba, ama jeba." This girl's purse. This lady's purse was almost $13-14 million, which is,
it's amazing.
I'm not sure. I've not checked. That's probably the highest ever for a female fight. Yeah, the same fight that they did 2 years ago, Akin, they got probably less than 10% or 15% of the $6 million that went both ways for this bout. So I'm happy for them from that perspective. Yeah, I am. But other than that, everything that you said, I agree with. The fact that they don't even wear helmets, it bothers me, right? And this is not us being sexist or misogynist or whatever. See, guys, the female anatomy is not as strong as, right? That's how it is. That's why the CTE is more rampant. Yeah? That's why the slightest punch, you have a gash already. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's why, and I look at it, same thing. I watch UFC, I watch boxing, not as much as
I don't watch UFC.
I don't like female UFC or female boxing. I don't. And to be honest with you, I didn't watch the Taylor Amanda Serrano bout.
Oh, I watched it.
I did not. I couldn't get myself to watching it. I'm sorry, I can't. I was
appalled, Yinka. I was appalled. Like, Yinka, it was like, bring your head, I'll bring my head, let's punch each other in the head. It was straight to the head, Yinka. And I'm telling you, the main issue is they can't hit on the torso. That's it. You can't.
But even if that is the case, watch. Defensively, you can duck, right, or block. These girls don't do that.
They don't.
It's like they just enter the ring and they want to just punch the living daylight out of each other. And I'm like, I can't watch this. I can't.
But you know, that's how it is on the men's side for smaller men. You notice? So
yes.
Because we grew up watching heavyweights. Heavyweights don't box like that. Smaller men box like that. It's like
But
hand speed, hand speed, hand speed.
Until Floyd came about,
Floyd came in,
Floyd
yeah.
let you people know that boxing is not about who can punch more, it's who can land more. So Floyd will dodge, block everything. That's why Floyd is 50-0. It's not because he's the best puncher, it's because he's the smartest boxer. You can't hit him.
The only person he ran away from people when they could hurt him. Yeah.
No, but the only person that almost put him down was Shane. What's his name again? Yeah. Shane Mosley. Shane was the closest to putting him down, and he staggered a bit, and he held Shane. He held him for like forever to gather himself, and he still won the match. That's smart boxing. So boxing is not who can, it's the point, who lands the punch most. So that's what I would have thought these women would perfect, and not try and outpunch each other and not turn it into a brawl. But I hear you. I'm not a fan of female boxing. It was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch. Okay.
Let's move on.
So I lied when I said we're not going to talk about the internationals. We'll talk about one topic. Your guy, Harry Kane, was running his mouth in England camp. We're going to spend just maybe 2 minutes on this. There were 8 withdrawals from England, mostly injuries, right? So he tried to say something like, it's an honor to play for England. You should, that should be the number one thing, more important than your club. Very disappointed people didn't show up, which is interesting because he ended up not even starting the game. I don't know about the second game. He ended up not coming off the bench the first game. So should he have said that, knowing that he's been in the trenches with a Saka, with a Rice, they got taken off a match that Arsenal was trying to win? You know what I mean? I know you and I talked about, hey, is that some kind of gamesmanship? But I think Rice played that match with a broken toe.
Yep.
His toe was taped together. Saka literally limped off. So how do you get off as a player, saying that about your colleagues? Trent Alexander-Arnold was substituted after 25 minutes in a match that Liverpool was trying to win, So that's already 3 out of your 8. So who are you really talking about? It can't be Trent, it can't be Saka, and it can't be Rice, So who was it?
But we wouldn't know who he's talking about. That's how stupid this is. That's why this is so stupid, and it was so unnecessary, right? The games this international break are UEFA Nation League games, not any qualifier. Yeah. They are not as important. It's not a do or die game for England. You could have lost both games and you still qualify, or you move to Group A or whatever. I don't know how the Nations League whatever works.
You can get relegated. You can get to the quarterfinals, or you can move down whatever it is.
So for me, this is insensitive to say, to utter, especially as a captain. Like I said, they were irrelevant games, completely irrelevant games. Yeah, and the people, you are right. The people that are injured, I don't think these are the people he's referring to. It's the younger ones, the Braithwaites, that people that are just pulling out for no reason whatsoever because their clubs have insisted that, dude, and maybe they don't have the clout and the respect. Yeah, they haven't gone to the point where they can look at their club and throw them the middle finger and say, "Guy, I'm gonna do what I want to do." I guess those are the people he's referring to. But yeah, I've had this conversation before. How much does England pay them for playing?
Not a ton. not 100,000 a week. That's for sure.
He who pays the piper dictates the tune. It will be stupid of me as a footballer where he who pays my piper, who pays me the pepper, right, who gives me money, says, "Young man, are you sure you don't want to sit this one out?" And I'm like, "Oh, I love my country. I know good die." And I'm, come on now. Especially when the game is not as important. And maybe Kane should focus on something else. Focus on not ghosting when it matters. Focus on being... focus on something else and stop trying... And his days in the national team are numbered, yeah? So before you know it... of course. His days are numbered.
Ouch,
Right?
very, very ouch.
It should focus on what matters. Even Odegaard that went to Norway, he just apparently I
hated
understand
it.
he only went as just being captain, support. Wasn't as if he was going to play. Yeah, wasn't as if he was going to play. And and this goes back to trying to find that perfect relationship between club and country. Especially when you're captain, you're putting, So it's like, yes, I'm fit. Yes, I can play, but should I really play? Right? So think of I'm here to support, blah, 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 blah. And the Norwegian team was like, you know what? It's fine. Just even go back and go rehab. Don't even bother to be around. We're fine. And they were cool with it. Yeah? So that makes sense. But for you to now make it seem as if it's club over, country over club, come on now. It's not. I disagree.
One more thing, Yinka. If this game was that important, why is their new manager not managing this game? The guy was announced. Has it been 2 months? It still hasn't started.
He's taking over the next international break.
So maybe it's not that important, and he doesn't have a job.
They were playing Northern Ireland and Greece, I think. Northern Ireland and Greece. Come on.
Last week when I told you the kid at Liverpool was the Northern Ireland captain, you were like, oh, because you didn't know. You know? So it's not anyway. Okay. Why is not?
Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. I was gonna say why is Northern Ireland even have a team, but we're not gonna go there. Okay. Yinka, in other WTF news, Bronny James, who has been moved to the G League, just as we predicted, will only play home games for the G League Lakers, whatever they're called, something Lakers.
South Bay Lakers.
South Bay.
Why are you looking at me somehow? It's South Bay Lakers now. You're making me somebody that I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. But I'm like, what have you done to earn the privilege of, I'm only going to play home games? I mean, you're in the G League. You're not a highly touted prospect sent to the G League to rehab an injury.
Yeah.
You need all those minutes. You need all those repetitions. You need the hostility on the road. You need to learn how to play basketball. What am I missing? Has this guy scored 20 combined points in the league? In the
league, he has only scored 2 points. Doesn't score 2 points.
In the entire league.
Yes, no. Yeah.
How many games did he play?
He's not playing. He's just sitting on the bench. He hardly comes on.
No. Not the G League. When he was in the NBA. How many games did he play?
He's only been in the game twice or so. And it's garbage minutes. It's garbage minutes.
But you people got you people got your photo up, so I hope you're happy. Father, son,
it's done.
I hope you're happy.
It's done. And like I said, right, I think we still got the steal of the draft, right? In Dalton Connect, coming in at 17th, right? Dalton Connect is most likely going to be the rookie of the year. Mark my words. And he came in at 17 to the Lakers. So if it is Dalton and Bronny, for me, it evens out. Do you understand? Getting an NBA ready player who all the other teams left because he's not a teenager. He stayed his full 4 years in college. Right?
Yeah.
That boy is most likely going to be the rookie of the year. But that apart, going back to Bronny, a couple of episodes, maybe not a couple, several episodes ago when we first talked about Bronny, you remember me telling you that, are you sure it's Bronny making these decisions?
No, it's LeBron. We know that.
Is this really what Bronny wants? Because everything you said is absolutely spot on. If it were to be me, for me to develop as a player, going on the road, facing the hostility, people shouting all sorts when I want to make free throws,
yelling, you're not LeBron.
You're not LeBron. You're not good enough. That is part of what will make you a player, or that was part of how you would develop as a player. But he's not doing that. Now, the excuse they've given Akin, so to put this in context, like you typically say, so the excuse they've given is they fly commercial the South Bay Lakers. They don't do private. Yeah. So the rancor and the madness that will surround if he's going away, the security issues, blah 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 blah. That's
Nobody
why.
knows him, Yinka. There's no random kids in public that know who he is.
Okay. So Packing, calm down. Which is why I said, hear me out. The South Bay Lakers home and away games have been fully sold out. South Bay Lakers. And the only reason why that is because of that young man.
Okay.
Spectrum Sportnet, that you know the
The
Spectrum
local
Sportnet
whatever.
now,
Yeah.
the local whatever, right? The viewership of South Bay Lakers games have significantly improved. Don't undermine the young man as an influencer. He has followers. Don't do that, right? He's not a ball player yet, but he is an influencer. Yeah? So he needs to make up his mind. He needs to make up his mind what he wants to be. Do you want to be an influencer? Because right now, it seems the South Bay Lakers and LA Lakers are actually kind of benefiting from your profile and your dad's profile rather than you developing as a ball player. Because there is no way, Akin, if it is me that I'm in this situation and you tell me I can't go on the road, I'll tell you, you must be smoking cheap stuff. Exactly. Do you understand? I will so throw you the middle finger. I'm like, y'all are mad. Why won't I go on the road? What do you mean? Why am I treated differently? The people going on the road, they are foreheads. Yeah? Then up the security of the team or do whatever you need to do. I don't care. I am going. That's what I will say. So for the young man to just keep quiet and just follow, it makes me believe that very, very soon, and I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. Very soon, he's going to revolt. It's coming. It is coming. He's going to revolt and be like, is it that? No, not revolt that I want to play ball. Or revolt and say, you know what? I'm not playing ball.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can
That's
see
what
that.
I'm saying. I'm done. I've played. I've satisfied you guys. My dad has got the picture perfect moment. Y'all are happy. Now let me go face my own thing and be happy. I ain't playing ball no more. But if he really wants to play ball, Akin, if he wants to play ball and he's allowing them to treat him like this, come on.
So, Inka, remember, I've made this distinction a few times when I talk about sporting character versus character, right?
Yeah.
So let me talk about LeBron for 30 seconds. Always love this guy. In my opinion, he has the perfect sporting character, or he had. Let me say he had, right? He came in looking like a grown man at 18, right? I'll never forget his first NBA game. I couldn't wait for that game. I watched it live. I watched every single minute, every single timeout. Tinka. They were playing the Sacramento Kings. And I think we'll have to check this to fact check myself. I think it finished with like 23 points and 8 assists or something very close. Tinka, I watched this thing live. I knew where I was in the fall of 2003 when LeBron made his debut. And I'm like, this is quite literally the smartest 18-year-old player I've ever seen because he played like a grown man.
Yeah.
You know, he made the right basketball decision. And I'm like, this is hard to do at 18. And then I watch, the 7 years with Cleveland, everything changing around him, and it just keeps getting better, right? So initially it was like, oh, he can't shoot. And then just like Jason Kidd before him, by the end of his career, he's almost automatic from 3. But that's work. That's putting in work. He was never really a shooter. He didn't have a post-up game. He goes and works with Hakeem. He comes back with a post-up game. I'm like, LeBron was doing that Jordan thing where every summer you get better. Every new season you come back. You have a new arrow in your quiver, as they say, right? But this is the problem with when you're raising offspring. We've talked about this before. When you're raising offspring in relative affluence, how do you teach hunger to a kid that has never been hungry. It is hard to do. Yinka, it's why family businesses mostly collapse in the third generation. It's why there's a book you should read. Yinka. I think they call it the triple effect. I think that's what they called it. Amy Chua and her husband. That's the woman who wrote Tiger Mom, right? So she was a Yale Law School professor. She and her husband were both, I don't know if they're still there, Yale Law School professors. So she talked about I think it was the triple effect, and she talked about in the American context, why do some immigrants, not all immigrants, but some select immigrants, why do they overperform within, compared to other people who look like them, came from the same places? And the group she mentioned were Persian Americans, Jewish Americans, Cuban Americans, Japanese Americans, Mormon Americans, Nigerian Americans, right? So again, not all immigrants from Africa, Nigerians. Mormons are like a tiny, tiny percentage of the population.
Yeah.
Jews are like a tiny, tiny percentage. And the triple thing that she talked about was, she said it was, one was, I think let me start from that. I think the thought that she said was forbearance, the ability to say, hey, delayed gratification, right?
Yeah.
So, because when you're grinding towards something, okay, you know what, let me work a little bit today, I can enjoy in the future, right? And then the other two she called superiority complex and inferiority complex. And I thought that was crazy until I read it. And she's like, for example, the Cuban Americans, for example, those who came here after Castro took over, many of them were the elites of Cuba. And then they came here, they didn't speak the language, they didn't have the qualifications. They went from the elites of Cuba to washing dishes in Miami, right? So they had that inferiority complex that, hey, I'm in this position, I don't speak the language. When I speak it with a pronounced accent. But then they also have this superiority complex that this is who I was in Cuba.
Yeah.
I'm better than this. So those three, superiority complex, inferiority complex, and forbearance, together, they make this formidable thing, and they teach that to their kids. So they pass it on to the kids. But then what she noticed, what was most profound to me, was that advantage disappears in the third generation. In the so the third generation do not outperform the average American, because by the time it just disappears. They just become regular. They can still be uber successful, but they're not overly successful above the average American, because that hunger is gone.
Yeah.
That immigrant verve is gone.
Yeah.
And I feel like with LeBron's own, it's not even lasting into the second generation. Like, the boy can't fight. He can't fight on the road, and grind for 1 year. He needs a chef on the road. What are we doing?
Bakin, you said something. You didn't say it's impossible. You just said it's hard, right?
It's
What's
hard,
the name?
yeah.
Pegula, the tennis player.
Oh, yeah. Billionaire dad.
That is a billionaire. And she's making it work, isn't she?
There's another one. There's two of them. There's two of them.
The other one that beat Coco Gauff, I've forgotten her name. Yeah. American also. Two rich dads. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? So this goes back to LeBron is living, I don't want to say vicariously, but you get what he is puppet sharing his son's life. And we're going to get a revolt. And that revolt will let us know whether he really wants to be a billboard player, or he just wants to, what daddy wants, I'll do. It's gonna man up one day and be like, Dad, what's this? What is this? Anyway,
it's Emma Navarro says Pegula and Navarro. Yeah,
Pegula and Navarro.
Yeah, both of their dads are billionaires.
Yeah,
amazing.
Pegula, when she's playing on the court, she doesn't look like a rich kid. She's a hustler on the court.
She has a blue collar mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with Navarro. So why can't Bron have that? Why can't?
I don't
Why
know.
this
It's hard
special
though.
treatment? If see, Akin, we both have kids that are. I don't give my children special treatment. Yeah, I see, if that's what everybody's doing, that's what y'all are doing. That's the way I put it. And sometimes, if what everybody's doing is too much for me, I'll be like, sorry, no, I can't. Ogbenis, slow your roll. It's true. That's what happens. That's what happens. Recently, my son came and said, "Oh, we're doing excursion to Mauritius." I said, "Why Mauritius? Why are we? Have you gone to every part of Nigeria that you guys are going to Mauritius?"
Have you
And I'm
gone to
like, "Sorry,
Badagry yet?
have you gone to Badagry yet? That you're going to, that you're going to, you're going to Mauritius?" I'm like, "Sorry, young man, we ain't going
Oh
to
my God.
Mauritius." Of course, I
Oh,
declined. Of course, I declined.
but you can't. You go to Mauritius all the time. Why can't your son?
But that's for what. I don't go for excursion, young man. I go for work. I don't go for excursion. I go for
Oh
work.
my God.
So,
Oh my God.
but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So why can't Bron look at Bronny and be like, "You're a G League player. Go be a G League player. That's what a G League player does." Why the
Oh
special
my God.
treatment? Why are you condoning the special treatment?
So, I think I said this before on here when we talked about this, and I told you about a conversation I had with some friends
Yeah,
when it was about our kids, our collective, are they special or not?
yeah.
And
And
I'm like, you can love your kid, right? But if I hope everyone believes their child is special. I think my parents made me feel special. So, I think that's the mark of good parenting, in their own way, different generation and all that. So I hope everyone grew up thinking they could do whatever they wanted to do. I hope everyone is at least getting that kind of parenting, But again, I go to Chris Rock. Chris Rock was like, when people say, oh, baby, you can be whatever you want to be. Chris Rock was like, you can be whatever you want to be if you have the talents.
yeah,
And if they're hiring.
okay, part of being a parent is being realistic.
It's being realistic.
It's being realistic and setting the so my middleman, he's part of his school's football team. They had a tournament over the weekend, and I went there. I went to watch, and I'm like, I looked at the young man. I'm like, at your age, talent wise, football is not really in the horizon. Yeah,
Wow.
I know already.
Damn, you're mean.
But it is the reality. And I told him, I said, your team, they don't look properly coached. And I sat him down and I explained to him, and we had a logical, conversation around it. And I'm like, but right now, see, that's the thing. It's not everybody that is talented that made it, right? David Beckham, I told him, you're probably a better footballer than David Beckham, talent-wise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he worked his ass off, right, to get to where he is. David Beckham is a classic example of hard work with limited talent. And I'm saying this respectfully, yeah? But we have people, there's a young man at United called Morrison, I think that was his name, Ravel Morrison. Alex Ferguson says is the most talented footballer he has ever come across. His career withered and it went away.
That's the one that was at Sunderland, right? It was at Sunderland.
He moved around for a couple of times. So you need to be able to be realistic with your kids and let them know, right? This is your strong point. You're not too strong here. You can work harder here. But don't lift them up and say, come on. You have to be. I don't get all this.
So when I was talking to this friend of mine, and he was pushing back, it was like, why don't you think kids are special, whatever? I'm like, again, in the generic way, yes, our kids are special, right? Because they are kids. You should give them love or whatever, right? But I feel like if I go into the world thinking, I'm just asking myself, what makes my kids special? because they came from me and I'm special. That's some kind of narcissistic thing, right? Because you think, oh, I'm special. This person came from me. So I'm
It's just
like,
not realistic, Akin. It's
it's
not.
crazy to me.
It's not.
But you can, what I ask my friend is, okay, so if I think my kid is special, what about a kid, let's say in Nigeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is who does the same thing my kid does, but is doing it out of poverty and has cancer. And so overcomes poverty, overcomes cancer. What does that make
word.
that?
We need to find another word.
You know what I'm saying?
That is higher than
So,
special.
you know, there's another saying that I like. This guy, Michael Eric Dyson, said it. He said, when everything is everything, then nothing is anything. So when sometimes we don't understand degrees anymore. There's got to be like degrees to things. You know,
Absolutely.
If everybody is special, then nobody is special.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we know what special looks like. Special looks like LeBron.
Exactly. Or special looks like you're on a football pitch looking at players within a group of talented players. One young boy is running rings around everybody, and you're like, "Young boy, come. What's your name? Who's your dad?" You know it when you see it.
Yeah, you know when you see it.
You don't force it, and if you don't have it and you want it, you need to be willing to work hard for it.
Go work for it.
Go work for it. Right now, Bronny, you don't have it. You need to go work for it. It's not going to be handed over to you. Yeah. It's not.
Okay.
I rest my case.
Okay, Inka.
Yes,
we're gonna breeze through the next couple ones. Better player.
Yes, sir.
Vinicius Jr. or Kylian Mbappe?
Where do you get all these questions from, Aki?
From me.
I think this season and last season as kind of the shortcomings of Mbappe and Vini, it's been kind of amplified, and we now all see it. It's been masked or hidden in the past, but in recent times, we are now seeing their shortcomings as footballers. Yeah. So I'm not really a fan of both right now. But frankly, if you ask me, I'll still take Mbappe ahead of Vini Jr. Right? And I've seen Mbappe carry the France team on his back and do stuff.
Absolutely.
With them, right?
Absolutely.
I've not seen Vini do that. I haven't. Right? That Real Madrid team, people think it's Vini carrying Real Madrid team. No, it's Real Madrid team carrying Vini because he doesn't do any no defensive responsibilities. Valverde and the rest of them are walking like Omonishes behind him, killing themselves to cover for his defensive inadequacies, and he will now come score a goal and make it seem as if he's the Don Dada. I don't like that. It also doesn't come across to me as I might be wrong about this, but from where I stand, it doesn't come across as a good team player. I'm sorry. It doesn't. I don't think so. Right? Because if he's a good team player, going back to that Ballon d'Or incident, you will not drag everybody into your mess up. You wouldn't. You can say, guys, you know what? I'll even go there to support you guys. The whole team won stuff, but because of you, they didn't go. Nonsense. So for me, Mbappe, right, based on what we saw that World Cup year and in the past, Mbappe has at least shown, he has proven that, you know what, I can do something with a team, and I can deliver. So for me, I'll take Mbappe ahead of Vini Jr. But am I really happy with where the two of them, where their career is going, where the trajectory is going? Not really. Because the comp for Mbappe, while he was a teenager, was Thierry Henry. That's the comp. Same thing for Vini Jr. The comp was even Neymar, right? In terms of skill, the way you influence the game, the two of them are nowhere near those two guys. Nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere at all. But I'll take Mbappe ahead of Vini Jr.
Nika, I love this question so much because this is such a layered. No, seriously, it's a layered. It sounds simple, like Vini Jr. or Mbappe, but there's so many layers to it. So let's start with the layers. So number one, the Ballon d'Or, I don't think it was about Vini. Nika, I think it was about Real Madrid wanting to placate their fans after they got their behinds handed to them at the Bernabeu by Barcelona. Okay, so they threw a tantrum. I actually think Vini is just a joyful, free spirit, right? He thought he was gonna win. He had invited people, including from Brazil. I think he would have been disappointed. He may even have cried, but I don't think he would have boycotted. I don't think it was his decision to boycott. So I don't believe that to be the case.
Fair point.
So that's one. Vini versus Neymar. Neymar, I think because of Neymar's Neymar with money was not a good Neymar, right? It just didn't handle money well, right?
Yeah.
And what happens when you don't take care of your body? It breaks down. Some people are prone to injury, but it wasn't prone to injury when it was coming up. So that tells me a lot of his injury woes. Well, some of it was just people were really rough on him, like the knee to the back at the World Cup. That should never happen. That should never happen. I mean, but a lot of the soft tissue injuries, that's you not taking care of yourself. Because guess who didn't have that? Messi didn't have that. Ronaldo didn't have that. You look at Ronaldo. You can like him, you can love him, you can hate him. You can't say he doesn't work hard. You look at Messi, you can't say Messi doesn't take care of his body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ibrahimovic had really terrible luck with injury, but that was because it was breaking things. It wasn't soft tissue injuries. This guy worked out. I don't think Neymar worked out. Neymar was more concerned about what Gucci or whatever luggage he was going to bring on the plane and stuff like that, right? So, but Mbappe as an influential player on the field dwarfs Vini by a lot. For club and country.
Yeah.
And same thing with Mbappe. Sorry, Mbappe versus Henry, same thing. But my answer will be Mbappe as well. But I'm disappointed in both of them. But I also tell myself, I think I said last week, when we're talking about form versus quality, right now I feel like we're talking about form because neither of them is in great form in the second half of this year. Right? But the quality is still undeniable.
Yeah.
The quality is still undeniable.
And I'm taking the best I've seen of both of them, if you get what I mean.
That's fair too. That's fair.
I'm taking the best I've seen of both of them. Mbappe in Qatar was Mbappe in Qatar, and Mbappe at the World Cup they won the edition before that one. God. Nah, he was simply unplayable. Yeah. Did he lose his way a bit with the PSG, Messi, Neymar stuff? I think maybe he did. Yeah. And maybe he got spoiled by that particular team. Yeah. And he needs to unlearn bad habits and relearn new things. Does he have the humility to do that? Between him and Ancelotti, good luck to them. Yeah? I'm serious, good luck to them. Mbappe has all the elements to be able to evolve into a 9. We've seen Van Persie do it. We've seen Henry do it. We've seen Ronaldo do it. You have the tools. What you need is the temperament. What you need is the humility. What you need is realizing less is actually more to unlock you playing that role. And you need to be a sponge and learn from people, right? You have the template in theory. Just check him out. Just watch him play. You will understand that at times not scoring is way more beneficial to the team than having your name on the score sheet. Yeah. And until he learns that, until he understands that, the Madrid that is in, he'll get into logouts with Vini. Because Vini does not have the tools to play up front. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have the height. He's not as fast, as Mbappe, and he's not a good striker of the ball like Mbappe is, right? Mbappe has the height, he has the pace, and he can strike the ball with both feet. That is what a striker needs. So you have the tools, you have the ingredients. Just go and learn the trade. be ready to put your body to work. You will need to hold defenders. You will need to back defenders and hold the ball, and they won't be able to get around you. Yeah. Henry was not really the strongest, but you couldn't get the ball off him, whether when he was running at you or when he held the ball and he put his body behind. Nobody could move him. So I'm like you said, I agree with you. I'm disappointed in the two of them. Yeah. Maybe more disappointed in Mbappe because I expected more from him than Vini. Yeah. But right now, I still think Mbappe is the better footballer. He is.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That was 2 minutes that stretched to 15. So let's do better on this one. Better player, Yinka.
Yes.
Saliba or Konate?
Okay, so people will say we'll go Saliba because of us being an Arsenal player. But let's break this down, right?
Okay.
So for me, it's Saliba. And it's simple. I think Konate has been shielded way too long. Yeah? At Liverpool. Yeah? You're playing next to quote unquote VVD, the best defender of his blah blah blah, right? And you're playing in a Liverpool team that offense is like their defense, yeah? Because you're always on the attack. You don't really have that much to do defensively, yeah? But Saliba, on the other hand, it's been baptism of fire. Baptism of fire at Arsenal, yeah? And he had to go back to Marseille, blah, blah, played rough games at Marseille to really, really hone his skills and develop, yeah? But the main thing that tips it for me is simple. Saliba is a better footballer than Konate. Saliba is a bit more flexible and malleable than Konate. Konate can only play centre back. I'm sorry. Saliba can play right back. He has the tools to play right back, right?
It could be a CDM.
You can even double and put him in CDM, exactly.
Yeah.
So given that, I would say Saliba, because he said better player, he didn't ask me the better defender. Pure defending, I might even say Konate, they are the same, or even Konate might even edge him. Pure defending. But all-round footballer, nah. I think Saliba is better.
Nka,
yes, sir.
This is why I like doing this podcast with you, because I really think you're one of the smartest. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say pundits because you don't do this for a living. Football brains there is. Okay?
Thank you,
I mean that seriously. I couldn't agree more. But this is what I'm going to say. Same thing I said in the last segment.
Yeah.
Form versus quality.
Yes.
Right? Form right now.
Yes.
Konate is the more in-form player and defender this season.
Yep,
right?
I agree. Fair point.
Konate is making Van Dijk, who is having a great season.
Yeah.
Van Dijk didn't have a great season last year, right?
Yeah.
This is Van Dijk's best season since the injury.
Yeah.
And Konate is making him look, dare I say, quite ordinary.
Yep.
This season, Konate is the best center back in the league he's playing in this season, right? It's a young season. It's a young season. And Konate combines the elements we like from Van Dijk and Saliba, the calmness, I can intercept the ball without, a foul, all of that stuff, with the elements we like about guys like Gabriel Magalhaes, which is I can knock your teeth out if I have to.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The dark arts, if you will, right?
Yep.
He has that. Right now, Konate is the perfect defender this season.
Yep, I agree.
Quality-wise, I'm not sure it's that close. I think it's Saliba. Saliba is a Rolls Royce. It may not be having the best season right now, but I think just quality-wise, I think it's still. I think it's still Saliba.
I also think it goes to what you like as a person that watches football. It's like comparing a Rio Ferdinand and a John Terry. Kind of.
Or Vidic.
Or Vidic, exactly.
Ferdinand versus Vidic, yeah.
They're both good defenders, but their style of play is different, yeah?
That's a great comparison, actually.
For the two of them, what you then need to be mindful of is they still haven't shown one thing that I really love them to show, which is leadership traits. Leadership traits.
I think Konate is getting there this season. That's what I'm saying.
Konate captain, he captained France yesterday. So he paired Saliba in defense and he captained France. So
because Saliba didn't play the first game. He didn't play the first. He was on the bench.
But against Italy, the two of them started. Yeah.
Wow.
And
I like that.
That is the next thing that needs to happen. You need to be vocal. You, as a defender, you cannot be shy. You have to be crazy on the pitch, right? Crazy in shouting at your teammates and calm when you're on the ball. You need to be, you have to. And I look at the two of them, it could be language barrier. It could be because they're French, that their English is not perfect. It could be, but in league games, they are not the ones directing things. It's not them. Konate might have edged Saliba a bit in that regard in this season. But the two of them, it needs to happen. It needs to happen. But I'm happy for the two of them. France has, those two centre backs are quite solid. They're quite solid.
I love watching them.
Yeah.
All right. So, Yinka,
yes,
we have come to the end of our strictly football topics.
Yes, sir.
Even though they're not strictly football. But we have a bunch that I will call alternative athlete journeys. You know,
I like that.
And this is we're entering the what if worlds now, right? And what inspired this for me was last week, one of my favorite players of this last generation, Diego Forlan of Uruguay, entered a tennis tournament. As a retired football player. He made his professional debut. He lost 6-1, 6-2 in 47 minutes, and then it made me think, what athletes, Yinka, do you think could have been world-class in a different sport?
Okay. So to start with, Forlan, you're 45 years old. What are you doing? Just go and enjoy your money. What? Nadal, that is 38, 39, he's retiring.
Yeah.
You are 45. You're just entering the sport. What are you doing? Just go chill and enjoy your money. Forlan is 45 years old. I checked. He is 45.
He's 45.
Yes. So what are you doing? Just go sit home, enjoy your money, do something else. Why bother yourself again with getting into competitive sport when you spend, the better part of your 45 years in football? Anyway, I'm happy for him. If that's what makes him tick, good luck to him. But going back to your question, so you need to find traits that are common to different sports, right? So I'll give you a good example. Speed, right? Speed is relevant in NFL. Speed is relevant in basketball. Is relevant in football, right? So the low-hanging fruits for your question will be the people that are fast in NFL, that are fast in football, they can transition to track. Yeah? But it's not easy the other way. If you go vice versa, you can't say, the people that were fast in, what do you call it? In track, can then play NFL or play soccer, for example. Yeah. You need more coordination. You need what do you call it? Hand-eye coordination to be a wide receiver. Yeah. And if you're playing football, you need. It's a whole different ball game. It's not just mechanics of running. So a couple of people that will pop to mind will be speed related. So if you go to the NFL, for example, Tyreek Hill was running sub 11 in 100 meters at a particular point in time?
I can believe it.
Yeah.
I can believe it.
So Randy Moss, even Prime, Deion Sanders, who is doing a great job in Colorado, by the way.
He played in the World Series. He played in the World Series and the Super Bowl.
And the Super Bowl.
And won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He won Super Bowls.
It was in the same year. Yeah.
It's
You have
possible.
people
It's
like,
possible.
I
Yeah,
think it was in the
96.
same year.
It's
I
possible.
think it was the
Yeah.
same year. You have Vic, the I don't want to say
Michael
the dog
Vick.
guy, but Michael Vick.
Yeah, I know. Mike
The
Vick, yeah.
dog guy. Randy Moss. So these are guys that were fast, yeah, and they could easily have transitioned to track, yeah. The other bit is because Americans, you guys stole soccer, football from us, and you turned it into something else. You see a lot of situations where retired footballers or people that had a stint in football can go into punting and kicking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your ESPN guy, what's his name again?
Which one? Stephen
The
A?
white guy. No, not Stephen A.
Which one?
After Stephen A. The show that
McAfee.
comes McAfee.
McAfee, yeah.
dabbled into a bit of soccer in college before he then switched to kicking or to punting.
To kicking, yeah. Punting, yeah.
So that is also a switch that is possible. But to answer your question, I think it's still the speed element. That's the easiest transition that I can think of. The other bit is you have the big guys, the defensive linemen in NFL that can then go to wrestling and become superstars. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson is an example.
But that's not a sport. That's entertainment. But go on.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's entertainment, I can drop that example.
Yeah.
But these are the few ones that come to my mind. So that's it for me. I think the sprint is the easier one. It is the easier one.
Yinka, you have to listen better to these questions.
Okay.
The question was, what athlete do you think would have been a world class in a different sport? Not just play a different sport, but would have been world class in a different sport. And that is hard to do. World class in one, world class in it. So, for example, Kobe played football in football/soccer in Italy, right?
Yes.
He credits his great footwork to growing up playing in Italy, right? And then that transition. I think I like the speed element. I'm sure Kobe's fast. You know, I've never seen him run track, but I'm sure Kobe's smart, fast. But I think whatever Kobe decides he's going to do is going to be amazing at. Do you know why?
Why?
Work ethic. Is going to commit to it.
And also being honest with yourself, right?
Yes.
It's not if that's what you're saying, that means anything he does, he will realize that, you know what, I don't have the talent or the skill set to be good at this, so I'm not going to pursue this further. Yeah. And he will drop off. But you can is just like, see your Jake Paul now. He thinks being a comedian or being a clown on YouTube translates into boxing. That's what he thinks.
Apparently he does. Apparently it does, Inka.
But you get what I'm saying. So I get your point on the question, and I probably missed it. Yeah. But the few people that you will say were world class here, and they could be world class on the other, right? It's very, very tough. It still goes back to that speed element and the track guys, right? So, for example, if I go to football, Thierry Henry used to run sub 11. Theo Walcott to run sub 11. Theo Walcott is not world class. Thierry Henry is, but will Thierry Henry then be running 100 meters and competing with Usain Bolt? I don't think so.
But could Usain Bolt have played football? Because we saw him. We saw him play. You know, he had that trial at the Australian club.
He's a regular Joe. I'm probably a better footballer than him. Yeah, I saw him play. He's a regular Joe. So there are few people. So, for example, Patrick Mahomes is a very good basketball player.
Yeah.
Very good basketball player. Travis Hunter, he's a very good basketball player.
And he plays both sides of American football.
Both sides of So he plays the last game they played against was it Utah? This guy, until it was obvious that they were going to blow Utah out, they had 65 snaps, and
that's
crazy. Played every single one, offensive and defensive.
Offense, defense,
offense, defense. So it is when you are your talent is out of this world, yeah. And there's some people who comes natural too. There was a guy that I knew in Ilorin where we were growing up. This guy, goalkeeping, he was the best. He actually said he preferred goalkeeping. So one day, one of our players got injured and we're like, he just said, let me play up front. Boy, this boy goes up front. Why? Like 3 goals. I'm like, if you watch Marvel movies, I was like, these Dora Milaje people looking, I was like,
yeah.
why did you have him in the post all along? This boy should be up front, He could do everything on the pitch, So there are people like that. But it goes back to your point. Once you focus on one thing and you
It's
drop
hard.
the other,
Yeah.
So like Bron said, he had to pick between basketball and football while he was in school. He said it was either tight end or the wide receiver, I think, while he was in school. But now, if you tell him to get on the pitch and go, he might be able to catch a few balls, but he can't play NFL football. He can't. He can't.
So there's a couple that come to mind, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with Allen Iverson. So Allen Iverson grew up in Virginia, next door, state next door to me here.
Yeah.
I think he was Mr. Football, Mr. Basketball in his last year of high school.
Wow.
Right? In the state of Virginia. Right?
Wow.
So obviously we know what he went on to do as a basketball player. But he was also like an amazing American football player. That's one.
That's one.
Marion Jones was another one. Marion Jones played basketball at UNC and also ran track. Right? Incentives are different because back then, even now, the WNBA didn't really pay that much. Was there a WNBA? Yeah. WNBA started in 96. When did Marion Jones come out?
Marion Jones 98? Marion Jones was on a WNBA roster.
Okay.
In one of the seasons, I think.
But at UNC she wasn't a star, but she played, right? So that comes to mind. I've already mentioned Kobe. I think, if Kobe had made certain decisions, I can see him,
she
getting
played for
good.
Tulsa Shock.
Okay.
Marion Jones played WNBA
there
for 2 seasons. Yeah.
There you go. We know about Prime, Deion Sanders. Bo Jackson did it, but Bo Jackson, his career got cut short by injuries and stuff. And so when I think about guys like that, you're right. Track is the more natural one, and if you look at Olympians, there's a lot of former, football as an American football players who ran track, who convert to track because the speed translates. But the skill is what I think is harder.
It's harder,
right?
It's harder.
Can your skill translate at a world class level? I think that's harder, which is why I give grace when I'm watching the sport. I'm like, this is really hard to do. So unless you play for Spurs, I try not to call you like the worst player ever, or I don't go overboard in my criticism because I know I can't do what they do.
Henderson has never put on a Spurs jersey.
But it's terrible. That's not my fault. That's his daddy's fault.
But you just told a lie now. You said you don't unless you play for Spurs, you don't want to shit on people.
objectively, somewhat the people who raised him lied to him and told him he was special. And this is why you should raise your kids well and tell them the truth. And now he's all over the pitch pointing at people instead of playing ball. But that's a story for another day.
Pontus Pilot.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave that alone. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Another what if. What if Pelé had accepted an offer to play in Europe during his prime? How would that have changed football's global reach?
So this what if is so hypothetical that I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But looking at if I look at what has happened subsequently, football, the evolution of football or the global reach that football eventually attained wasn't really because of a particular player or a group of players.
That's true.
So would it have changed football's global reach? Maybe, Not necessarily, or it might have fast-tracked it. We don't know. Because if you look at it, the way football got that global reach was through broadcasting. Yeah? They decided to go get the bigger markets, go after. Premiership became a global product when the TV licenses and the TV rights were going global. Premiership wasn't really the best league at that point in time. Serie A
No,
was.
still
Yeah?
not, but go on.
No. So you're
I
saying
know
from
what
a
you mean.
footballing
I
standpoint,
know,
but
I know, I know.
from a marketing product right now,
Yeah,
Premiership is way ahead of every other person. Yeah,
I
so
know.
that's what I'm saying. So and it was because the English guys, just whoever came up with that genius, whatever, was like, we don't really have a good league, blah blah blah, but let's just get people all over the world to watch it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you remember as far back as when we were in school, Match of the Day, that BBC
yeah.
channel, they used to show it on some NTA channels then. That's how
Mm-hmm.
we know all this Aston Villa, all that. Then all of a sudden, when the Chelsea evolution started and Gianfranco Zola went to Chelsea, Ruud
Hulit,
Gullit,
yeah,
even
Viali,
Viali, God bless his soul, George Weah
yeah,
and the rest of it. You just realize that the games, it was what we're showing on TV was just the 3 o'clock games before, or the non 3 p.m. games before. Then,
mm,
as the years went by, they started showing every game outside of the UK, right? And that was how the global reach started. That was how
mm,
it got the max momentum. And the
yeah,
other leagues then decided to catch up and everything. So, would a single player, would that player, even though that player is Pelé, arguably the greatest that has ever done it, yeah, or the greatest to ever do it, would he have fast tracked, or would he have, made that thing happen faster? Yeah, he could have contributed to it, but would it have had the same impact as broadcasting? Yeah, because how many people can you fit into a football pitch,
mm,
into a football stadium? Yeah, max said Maracana, that then was 100,000. That's the max in everywhere, and not all clubs in Europe had 100,000 stadium. I mean, in England, Old Trafford was the biggest for forever. Yeah, in Spain, what's his name? Nou Camp or Spotify or whatever they call it these days. Nou Camp was the biggest, like, forever. Yeah. And it's only when you watch someone play that is when the affiliation starts. That is when
mm.
you start getting, so if you had moved, it would have held, but the TV was, in my opinion, much more important than the player itself. The reach was more important than the player itself. I think
Okay,
that's what would have happened. Yeah.
okay. Great response. Let me see if I can add something to it. So, number one, I think you're right about the broadcasting, but it wasn't like there wasn't TV in the 70s. There
Yeah,
was
yeah, there
TV in
was.
the
There was.
70s.
Yeah.
And Pelé started in the 50s, played throughout the 60s, and played some in the 70s, right? He
Yeah.
came to the US at the end of the 70s, right? He came to the
Yeah.
US and, attracted a bunch of people to the US. What's this guy's name? I forget. The guy from Italy, Franz Beckenbauer came, so a bunch of people came to play in the US because of it, right? And that was at the end of their careers, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this from a couple standpoints. Number one, if he had crossed over to Europe, that would have meant we're seeing him play at the same time as Gerd Muller. We're seeing him play at the same time as Johan Cruyff. We're seeing him play at the same time as Franz Beckenbauer,
Yeah.
right? We're seeing him play at the same time as Eusebio,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're seeing all this. They won't play in the same countries, obviously, and there wasn't
Yeah.
free agency at the time, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
you could buy and sell players. So, but we will see them in the European Cup, right?
Yep.
We will see them. So, but I feel like, but there was still this mystique, right? The World Cup had this mystique because the only time you saw South America and Europeans play against each other was
Yeah.
really the club, whatever club cup or whatever,
Yeah.
and then all the staged friendlies that the Brazilian military governments were making him play, to make money, right? So you saw that. So it wasn't like you didn't see him play. You saw it, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice. But at the same time, you'd be taking something away from the South American game, which at the
Yeah.
time was as crazy as it's ever been.
It was better than European football. Let's call it what it was. It was.
Yeah.
But you're
So
right.
I don't know. So
the 1970 World Cup, right? I think is the most televised clip of Pelé ever. That 1970, you remember that, whatever. And that was actually Pelé in his decline. That wasn't even him at his best.
Yeah.
That was Brazilian. Yeah. That was the best Brazilian team ever.
But not the best.
That wasn't Pelé. Yeah. That wasn't the best Pelé. That was Pelé already in his decline. Yeah. It was, I think that's the colored version of Pelé that we all saw the most. Every other one was.
Are you sure? I think it was still black and white. Because I think
70 was colored. 70 was colored.
Okay. All right.
So 70 was the yellow and black, the yellow and green jersey, the Castal, Revellini. It was colored.
That's true.
It was colored.
Yeah.
But Pelé was in his decline then. Right? Remember, till today, if you ask anybody, Pelé, what do you remember? They will tell you Pelé's header. Well, not everybody. Everybody in England. They will say it's Pelé's header against Gordon Banks. As if that's the only thing he's done in his life. But for me, that miss, was it against Italy or Belgium, where he leaped over the ball and went to turn and he hit the ball instead of, and the ball kind of missed the post slightly. Memories. That's why I said TV is much more impactful. TV amplifies everything, yeah? But if I was a player that could have helped, it was definitely Pelé in those days. It was. Because it was light years ahead of everybody. Everybody.
Okay. You ready for the next what if?
Yes, I am.
What if Muhammad Ali hadn't been banned from boxing during his prime? How many more titles could he have won?
So it was banned from 1967 to 70, right? It was for 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact years, but it was for 3 years.
I think it was 67 to 70. Yeah. Okay. So what would have happened? He would have faced Joe Frazier a lot more. That's it. For me, that's it. Because he was the champion and he was stripped of his belts and everything, blah, 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 blah. Right? Then Frazier dominated for a while with other guys. Then when he came back 3 years, then he fought Frazier twice or thrice. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the whole story.
And then Foreman had come up by then.
Then Foreman had come on. So for me, I think it just deprived us of a longer Frazier Ali, tussle over a longer period of time. So that ban only deprived of us 3 good years of 2 great boxers in their prime, right? And frankly, only God knows what will have happened. Because Frazier, see, I love Ali, but Frazier could have beaten him in those years. I'm sorry. Frazier was that crazy. So it wasn't as if it's, Ali is a better skillful boxer. Frazier is a quote unquote, the thug. He will punch. He wants to kill you once he enters the ring with you. So you might even be shocked. One can even argue that ban kind of protected Ali's legacy. So maybe those 3 years will have been ass whooping meted out to Ali by people. You never know. But one thing is a fact. It deprived us of 3 good years of 2 great boxers that would have been fantastic in their prime. Because by the time Ali came back 3 years after, it wasn't really the Ali that left 3 years before. He wasn't. Well, that one is a fact. And but Frazier too had, grown and the rest of it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I made that nail there on that. I'm not too sure whether it would have been of that significant impact.
So it's almost like I'm repeating myself on all these topics, right? This is another one. I really, really, really love this because again, you can come at this from so many different angles, right? Yeah. So, Yinka, I think you and I have debated what does great mean in sports, right? I think it has no real meaning on the actual field of play or whatever. It's a very nebulous concept, right? Because we don't even say best, we say the greatest. What does that mean? What does it mean to be great? So Yinka, when they say the man, the myth, the legend, right? That legend part is the quote unquote greatness. right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's when other things, you like to just keep it within the lines, but there's no real great player whose greatness is just within the lines. And
No,
this
you
is what I
can.
mean. It's
So
hard.
that's your own definition, and I am okay with that. But yes, you can define greatness only within the confines of the court.
No, but you can't. But what eventually happens in any generation, right?
Yeah.
So if you came before TV, right, you became a legend because of word of mouth. And what happens when someone tells someone a story and another tells, then it becomes this blown up thing and it's not real. And when you play a legendary match in a stadium that only sits 100,000, 500,000 people claim they were there. You see where I'm going with it? So even when
India beat Nigeria
99-0, you know? So that's my point. Like, whether it's pre-TV or during TV or social media, right? You become great when people outside of the arena start talking about you.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So even if you never do anything crazy outside of the arena, right?
Yeah.
You don't achieve greatness until the average person who doesn't really know the sport
so I can ask you a simple question. I'll ask you a simple question, for example. If I say, who's the greatest rebounder the NBA has ever seen?
So most people will go straight. They'll go straight to Rodman.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is, but Rodman outside of the basketball court is what?
Insane. No, but that's it.
So I'm saying greatness can be limited to what you have on the pitch, right? So it goes to people's different definitions. If you believe it should include external stuff, all well and good. Okay. So the point is, I don't like people arguing without clarifying what.
But you can't. I'm making a slightly different point.
Okay,
I'm saying, how many rebounding titles did Rodman win?
I can't even remember.
Exactly. I don't think it was. That's what I'm saying. So it's not an objective thing. So we probably say it's Rodman because he put on a dress. That's my point. We probably say it's Rodman. Go on.
So the reason why we say it's Rodman is given his height, right? And the tools he has and what he was able to achieve from a rebounding standpoint, right? Akin, there is no other person that has the same tools that he has that even neared what he did. Nobody. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Counterpoint. We didn't say that when it was with San Antonio. We didn't say that when it was winning titles with Detroit.
With the Bulls.
No, with Detroit. Nobody said that when it was with Detroit or with San Antonio.
Maybe some people did. Maybe some people did.
But at that point, but hold on, Yinka, we need to wrestle this thing down. They didn't say it because there was no. So what made him larger than life was the legend of Michael Jordan being attached to that, the legend of Phil Jackson being attached to that, the legend of Scottie Pippen being attached to that, being the crazy what's the word spoon that stirred the pot, and then wearing lipstick, wearing a dress, dating all the women he dated, right? All of those things put together, because I don't know how many rebounding titles he won, if he won any. And I don't know who is number 2 in his era. I don't remember who was winning rebounding titles in the 90s and 80s.
He won 7.
Okay, so that
he won from 1992 to 1998. Yeah.
Okay, so some of that, and it was with the Bulls on the second half of that. Because it got to the Bulls in 96.
95, 96, yes. 95, 96.
But that first half, nobody was talking about him. Even though that's my point. And that's why I don't like greatness. I don't like to use the term because it's so nebulous.
So my point is, I don't mind if you use it as long as you define.
You define
for every
it.
conversation. You let it's waste of energy if I believe greatness is something and I'm arguing my point. You believe it's something else. You're arguing your point. While we don't have a convergence in what we're arguing about. I'm just saying I believe it's the greatest. So let's define. So once we list out the parameters of what greatness is, then we can measure whoever we need to measure against that. I think that's the problem with all these discussions that most people have around, oh, it's the GOAT, oh, it's not the GOAT. Yeah, but I get your point and I agree with you. Sometimes it is, we fit into the myth, we fit into the legend, we fit into the stories, right? I watched Rodman play. There are so many people that didn't watch him play, but based on the stories that they've heard, they know. They just say, it has to be Rodman. Yeah, I get that. Or you say, oh, Allen Iverson. I watched Allen Iverson play. He's one of the most unguardable people. Given the tools at his disposal, what he did, right? He's not Mount Rushmore, but he's a fantastic basketball player, right? Because I saw him play. A lot of people didn't see him play, but because people don't talk as much as they talk about Jordan, they talk about the rest of them, they kind of just say, Allen Iverson was just there. But then he wasn't just
the game changed right after him. That's the problem.
Right
His
after
game
him.
didn't translate. Yeah. So, yeah. But Yinka, I started talking about the whole greatness thing because of Ali, right? So we've talked about this before, right? Ali said he was the greatest. So it was like Ali's mouth is why people say he was the greatest. He said it first. He didn't wait for other people to crown him. He crowned himself. So your point about those 3 years may have helped him. I don't think I've ever thought about it before, but that's a great point because it wasn't about Ali's. Yes, it's about his wins, but it was really about overcoming adversity. Some of that adversity was in the ring. Yes. A lot of it was outside. A lot of it was outside. So, and there's no Ali without all that stuff. It's the comeback. We love a great comeback story.
Absolutely.
We love, it was anti-war. He converted to Islam in a country that was very anti-Islamic. All of that stuff. So we don't know anything about Frazier's life. We know more about Foreman because of the grill that he was selling as an older man.
And the shows that Foreman he did subsequently.
Yeah, that did after. You know what I'm saying?
As a boxer. Yeah. How many Ali movies has come out? We've had how many Ali movies now? Do you understand?
A lot. Yeah,
but
a lot.
The Foreman movie was so it didn't. There was a movie about
it's hard Foreman. To break through, Yinka. It's hard to break through people's consciousness. It's really hard to.
I agree.
It's really hard to.
Frankly, pound for pound, boxing, right? It's not as if it's clear that Ali's number one. It's not.
No.
In some people's eyes, yes, it's number one. Other people, they'll be like, hell no. Some people might even argue with you that pound for pound, right? Floyd Mayweather is a better boxer than Muhammad Ali. Yeah.
I think Lennox Lewis is better.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying. So it's. I hear you and I agree with you, right? I think Ali is larger than life. His confidence, his charisma, the whole package kind of just fed into that myth, that legend, that Ali,
And then the moment, civil rights movement, African liberation struggles, all of that happening at the same time. Anyway, okay. The last one, Yinka. You ready?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Okay. And this is very NBA heavy, but you can decide to take it to other sports as well. I purposely didn't put other sports in it because then we're going to be here forever. Yeah. What if injuries hadn't cut short the careers like those of Grant Hill, Derrick Rose, or Tracy McGrady? How would their legacies differ? Yinka, if you don't mind, I want to start on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
I yield.
So, my two favorite, I think I've told you this before, my two favorite basketball players of all time are Chris Webber and Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorite. If I could come back into this world as a basketball player, I would want to have the skills of those two men combined. It also helps that I like them as humans. I like to see them on TV. Yeah. It's so funny. because I didn't put Chris Webber in this, but he is there too because of the injuries. But when people talk about a stretch four today, we didn't have a term for it, but Webber was the ultimate stretch four.
Absolutely.
Right? Webber was the guy who had a professional point guard on his team in Mike Bibby, but he led his team in assists as a power forward, a power forward center, right? He led his team in assists. He was bringing the ball up, and coaches thought it was crazy, but his coach at Michigan encouraged him to do it because back then, big man couldn't run the floor, big man couldn't dribble. So that's Webber. I didn't name him, but I'm moving him aside.
Fab five.
Bruh, Grant Hill, as much as I love Chris Webber, and I really love Chris Webber, Grant Hill was on his way to becoming one of the absolute best. If you ever get just take 5 minutes and look at his first 6 years in Detroit.
You want to tell me about Grant Hill? Just go
No, not to tell. But sometimes you have to remind. No, I had to remind myself. Yeah, and the thing is, many of us. So the narrative became that next Jordan narrative. It wasn't the next Jordan. It was like no. It was Jordan and Pippen had a baby.
That's what I'm saying. It was more.
That's Jordan and Pippen had a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so Yinka, I almost feel bad because I don't rate Derrick Rose at all. I don't rate him at all. I know people love him, but I don't rate him. I don't think he's a great playmaker. I like my point guards to be pass first. He wasn't. Yinka, I think Grant Hill is the ultimate what if in basketball to me. Because he was on his way to become. It was really, his game was more like LeBron. His body was not. It was the same height, but his body, it wasn't like big like LeBron. But he was the ultimate. But okay, that's all I wanted to say. Go for it.
Okay, so I'll start from the bottom before I get to Grant Hill.
Okay.
Because everything is about Grant Hill. I probably feel more of that than you do. So let me start with Derrick Rose and T-Mac. Rose's game was largely based on his explosiveness. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
and
jumping.
once age catches up with him, he would have lost that and there wouldn't have been anything. Yeah. So it's just unfortunate that injury came before age. Yeah. So
that's a great point.
I don't think Rose would have really the injury unfortunately came earlier. And that's why even when the injury was gone, he was still in the league, but he was so much a shadow of himself that it became a team. It was just a backup point guard in New York. In everywhere he went to, he was backup. Yeah. I feel bad for him, but while he was explosive, he was box office. No disrespect to him. It was absolute box office. That's Derrick Rose. T-Mac was a microwave. T-Mac scored 13 points in 33 seconds.
That's crazy.
Remember that game? He scored 13 points.
That's
he
crazy.
Was an elite scorer, right? But his scoring was more around dribble, pull-up, jump shooting, threes. He really couldn't drive to the basket. Mid-range.
Yeah.
He really couldn't drive to the basket. And I think that would have... Maybe he would have evolved like Kobe too, as Kobe aged. Because as Kobe aged, Kobe evolved. Maybe he could have. Yeah? And he and Kobe were quite close. And they had the same mentality. Yeah. And Kobe, if there was a scorer that Kobe respected, it was him.
It was T-Mac. Yeah.
It was T-Mac.
Yeah.
Because he said he could do everything I could do, and we were about the same age. Yeah. Yeah. So give it to T-Mac. But I just thought he was kind of a microwave. He got hot fast and he cooled down. Yeah. And I kind of look at his cousin, Vince Carter, and I'm like, on paper, I think Vince was the better basketballer. Yeah, I might be wrong.
Ooh,
I think Vince was a better basketballer, right? But Vince didn't have as much injury as T-Mac, and Vince is the absolute gentleman when it comes to the NBA. I love Vince Carter.
Yeah. It's a statesman. He's a statesman.
I love him. So when his jersey was retired, I was like, you didn't win any ring, but you deserve this. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, let's get to Grant Hill. Who is the answer to your question, right? Grant Hill was on a Rushmore trajectory. Let's get it straight. He wasn't just going to be a regular NBA player. He was on a Mount Rushmore trajectory. Grant Hill was a problem when he entered the league.
Yeah.
People thought Jordan was a problem. Grant Hill was 6'8", 225.
Mm-hmm.
Just so people understand, Bron is 6'9", 250. So it's almost Bron's body, but leaner. The league didn't have an answer to a power forward type body handling the ball like a god.
Yeah.
Grant Hill was one of one. He was the first person. He was the first player that they couldn't cope with him. They couldn't. It was like, how are we going to deal with this guy? And you thought that was on the offense. On the defensive end, he was lean, he was mean, he was a terror defensively.
Yeah.
That is why even when the injuries came in, people still respected Grant Hill as a defender.
Yeah.
You will be like, you know what? Don't worry, I love defending. Let me take on this guy. Grant Hill was a problem. Major problem. The league didn't have an answer to him. They didn't. So as you now see, as the years went by, you now started seeing, prototypes. 1A.
Yeah,
1B,
other people.
Other people.
Yeah.
So Bron,
including T-Mac. T-Mac could, he could defend when it felt like, he could rebound, he could pass.
Even Bron is Grant Hill 2.0. He's just bulkier and faster.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't play as much defense as Grant Hill, by the way.
Yeah.
But Hill
it's true.
was on a Rushmore trajectory. If there's a player, you're right, the greatest what if in NBA history is Grant Hill. By far.
It's so sad. So sad.
By far. Honorable mention to some other people, right? That you didn't have in your list. You mentioned one of them.
Oh, tell me. Oh, of
Penny
course.
Hardaway.
Of course. Oh, yes.
Penny Hardaway and Brandon Roy.
Oh, yeah.
Those two, Brandon Roy was Derrick Rose before Derrick Rose.
It was. Not as explosive, but a better playmaker. A better playmaker, yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger body too. Yeah.
Penny Hardaway was Penny, man.
Penny was. Yeah.
That's why you see these players these days, and without the fundamentals, they can just jump, dunk, and they believe they are all that, and they're getting millions of dollars. And I'm like, I'm happy for you. All more power to your elbow. But I look like people like Penny. I'm like, wow. Imagine Penny in this current NBA.
Penny with today's medical science, because it's really the medical. So there was I'm never gonna forget this. But remember the days of microfracture surgeries, not Grant Hill, Jason Kidd and Chris Webber had microfracture surgeries within a year of each other, I think. And that was pretty much the end of them as explosive players. They still played several years. Yeah. And I watched Chris Webber. It was within his first 10 games back. I don't know exactly when. It couldn't run, Yinka. Wow. It couldn't run. But I think if I remember, he either scored 31 or 41, I can't remember, points, and grabbed 13 rebounds, and it couldn't run. Jason Kidd, you know him, explosive, but after microfracture, could not explode anymore. But the brain was still there. He still won a championship as a leader. The leadership was there. And then it became a spot up three-point shooter. I mean, the man couldn't, it was a horrible shooter before. But it goes to show when you have this. Yeah. But with Grant Hill, that point about greatness, I will say again, let me tell you the off-the-court stuff that makes the legend of Grant Hill legendary. Right? You know who his mom was?
Do I? No, I don't. Who's his mom?
Okay. His mom was roommates with Hillary Clinton.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes. His dad played in the NFL. Okay.
I didn't know
that. His dad was not a kwekwe NFL player. His dad was a legitimate star in the NFL. And his mom was Hillary Clinton's roommate. Okay. So Grant Hill grew up a certain way, right? And then, he is who he is. very articulate, the nicest guy. Everybody says
Yeah.
that, right? His off the field, off the court demeanor is above reproach.
It's perfect.
It makes sense. That is, he became the head of USA Basketball. It was always going to happen. It was always going to be some kind of owner or whatever. He went to Duke. Everybody hates Dukies, but they love Grant Hill. He's the only Dookie that you don't hate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody loves him. And then he marries Tamia. Okay? And then
they've been married since 1990.
They've been married forever,
something.
right?
Forever.
Tamia is Canadian, which everybody loves Canadians. She has a great voice, and then she has MS. So people go, oh my God, she's dealing with all this stuff. You see where I'm going with this? So no matter as much stuff as he has between the lines, Grant Hill has so much more, outside the lines as well, which is why all these things put together, and then the stuff he does for the culture. He and Tamia, there's something they do. They've been doing it for a long time. They have this almost like a traveling civil rights museum thing, and I think they do it during Black History Month. They bring it around different schools and stuff. So this is why people love Grant Hill. So again, I can't think of one great player who is only great. If you're only great and you do nothing outside, you're Tim Duncan. No one's going to remember you.
Boy, he is great. Tim Duncan is great.
But we're not going to remember him. But we're never going to remember him.
We do. Akin, if you mention greatest power forwards of all time, right?
Yes.
5 people, ask anybody in everybody's top 5, Tim Duncan will be there.
But does anybody's mom know Tim Duncan? That's my point.
So it goes back to defining greatness. It's simple. Because everybody's mom, greatness to everybody's mom is not what greatness is to me as a sports enthusiast.
I know.
While we're talking, right? Before Grant Hill's, because I checked, before Grant Hill's ankle injury, while he was in Detroit, his first 6 years in Detroit, Aki.
Which I told you. Go on.
9,400 points. 3,417 rebounds, 2,720 assists, and there are only 4 other players that can boast of the similar type of first 6 seasons. It was Oscar Robertson, it's Larry Bird, it's Luka Doncic, and it's LeBron James.
And Luka Doncic and LeBron came after him. So that means it was the third. At that point in
time, it was the third. It was Oscar, Bird, and himself.
Okay. Because Magic would not have been on there because Magic didn't score enough.
Yeah, he didn't score enough.
That's why Magic didn't score enough.
That's why Magic couldn't. And Magic probably didn't rebound enough also, but his assists
No, he did.
way
Magic rebounded. He rebounded. His rebounding was fine. It was the scoring.
It was the scoring.
Because Magic was averaging about 20 points a game. Yeah. It's quite amazing.
Is the one that went away. Is the one that went away. And you're right. Post his life, he's a gentleman. Nothing, no bad press.
No scandal.
He's co-owner of Atlanta Hawks, co-owner of Orlando Pride. He's just comes on TV.
He's a CEO type figure. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's a CEO type figure. And everybody wants to be in the business of Grant Hill because it's that kind of guy. And so just like LeBron's debut, Yinka, I remember where I was when that injury happened. I don't know if you remember this. So this was in the playoffs. I think they had gone out in the first round each of the last 3 years or something like that. And then the ankle injury happened. It was on the sideline when they, and I remember this, and no one thought much of it. He hadn't signed the extension they gave him. He got the surgery and then decided to go to Orlando with T-Mac. Right? T-Mac, instead of staying with his cousin in Toronto, they went, and then one thing after another just happened. So the ankle didn't heal well. They had to re-break it and refuse it together. Yeah. And then he now had a staph infection that almost killed him. Yeah. Literally almost killed him. Yeah. And then it was just never the same again after that. But it looked innocuous, right? When it happened, he kept playing, actually. He played that series with the bad ankle. And that was, and he never recovered from it.
And even after all that, Aki, right? This guy on the Phoenix Suns team after all the whole injury, and he came back and he played. This was one of the
became
few
an all-star.
people.
It was still an all-star.
That Kobe found it difficult to score on this guy. He was defensively good. So Grant Hill, that's the guy that went away. The greatest what if in NBA history is Grant Hill.
It's Grant Hill. Anyway. So Yinka, who is your favorite of all time? Favorite NBA player of all time? So mine's Chris Webber and Grant Hill. Who's yours?
Mine is Kobe Bryant. You shouldn't be surprised.
I can see that. I can see that.
It's Kobe, then Allen Iverson. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's Kobe, then Allen Iverson. Because see, you notice I've said this a couple of times, right? What LeBron is doing, I believe LeBron should be doing because the tools are there. In fact, I look at him and I'm like, you're not really maximizing what is at your disposal. You are inherently gifted. Yeah. How many people have LeBron's body and his speed and his natural gift in the NBA today? LeBron is one of one. I can point so many Kobe Bryants to you. I can point so many Allen Iversons to you. These are people that the tools that God gave them, they maxed it and they got way more out of it than normal. Allen Iverson, for me, I look at him and like, ideally, you should not even be in the NBA. You shouldn't. You're too short.
That's true.
But look at what he did. He was a nightmare for almost every team. Same thing with Kobe. Kobe started off, he was just a skinny 6'4", 6'5" young boy that couldn't, 17-year-old, who's this guy? A 13th pick, that's it. But he developed himself and became arguably, So once people say, like Jalen Rose will say, Michael Jordan is the original, Kobe Bryant is the remix, There are instances where the original and the remix are just as good, And there are some cases where the remix is actually better than the original. He will not tell you what the situation is, That's the way I see it. He's the close. Yes, he dubbed Michael Jordan. Yes, he looked at Michael Jordan and said, "You are the best player I've ever seen. I'm going to do everything you can do and even see whether I can take it to the next level." But those two guys, for me, work ethic, dedication, Kobe, Allen Iverson, just that great. This guy took a Sixers team that had Dikembe Mutombo. God bless him, so love him. He's a nice guy, but he's not the greatest basketball player.
Score.
Eric Snow and Dikembe Mutombo, Aaron McKee. He took these guys to the finals where he beat LA, even in game 1 in LA. Stepped over Tyronn Lue as if he wasn't there after making. Oh my God!
The answer.
Forget it.
Okay.
The answer. Anyway.
I'm assuming we're not gonna have a donkey of the week this week, right?
No, we'll just crown it sharp. This is Logan Paul, whatever Paul he is. Yeah.
Jake Paul. Not Logan Paul. Jake
Paul is my donkey of the week. You scammed everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't do it again.
Good for them, though. Good for them.
Good for them. Good for them.
All right. So, I guess the leagues are back next weekend. We'll be back with more league content next week. Yinka, you want to take us out?
Yeah, thanks everyone. Still on our track to 1,000. Thanks for the support so far. Thanks for liking our video, subscribe. Please, anything that you see us put out, please do the needful. And you know what the needful is? Like it, right? If you haven't subscribed to our channels across all platforms, please do. Smash the notification bells so that whenever we release content, you get it across all platforms. And please don't be one of those people that is supporting us on one platform and ignoring us on other platforms. So we want you to support us across board. Yeah, we want you to support us across board. 50th episode, we're gonna do giveaway. I've intentionally pushed that forward to the 50th episode. Today is our 40th episode, so that means 10 episodes from now. We'll start doing the countdown, right, to what we're gonna give people. Guys, it's gonna be big. Yeah. But there'll be some things you will have to do for you to be part of that, right? So please look out for that. Continue to support us. Thank you very much. Aki.
So Yinka doesn't tell me anything, so I don't know what we're giving away. for the 50th episode. But I trust him, so I'm sure if he says it's gonna be big, that is gonna be big. Yeah, thanks everyone. This was fun. Inka, this was I'm glad we did this instead of talking about these games that I don't care about.
That we don't give two.
No, I really don't care about the Nations League or whatever. But thanks everyone. This was fun, and we'll be back next week with a regular episode. Bye.